Egyptian
To be
mummy.
honest.
Why are you looking like an Egyptian mummy?
To be honest, and I'm not as excited as I would have been. And I know that sounds very like unsportsmanship likely.
Every one of us.
I'm not as excited about it as I would have been. I'll go about my day doing whatever I want to do.
But
I'm not going to
who would you want to win?
I mean, maybe Senegal, maybe, because I've always wanted to visit.
Yeah.
Not because of anything. This is not anything. I've always wanted to visit the country, and I met this really lovely designer from the country earlier in the year at an ECOWAS gathering, and I look forward to it.
So the host nation that put millions of dollars to host and, welcomed everyone.
They want us.
Okay.
On the flip side, they supported us a lot at our last win. So maybe I should give them my support.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm for nobody and I'm for everybody. Let's move into the wake-up conversations this morning. From one very interesting story to another very interesting story. The United States has announced an indefinite pause in immigrant visa processing for nationals of 75 countries, including Nigeria, Somalia, Russia, Iran. Oh, with what's happening in Iran, really sad. Afghanistan and Brazil from January 21, 2026, according to U.S. officials who say the decision is part of a broader effort by Washington to tighten immigration controls and strengthen applicant screening. The State Department has directed U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide to halt the issuance of new immigrant visas for affected countries while authorities reassess vetting procedures aimed at identifying applicants considered likely to rely on public assistance. A move the government says is designed to protect its welfare system, stressing, however, that the suspension applies only to immigrant visas and does not affect tourist, business, or student travel, and will remain in force until the review process is completed. So, if you are going to visit the U.S. as a Nigerian for tourism purposes, this does not affect you. This is if you were moving, if you were migrating to the United States of America. So if you're going as a tourist, just have your bond money in your hand.
$15,000.
Yes, and have your documents and you're good to go. That doesn't affect you. But nothing comes as a surprise to me anymore.
I mean, every other day.
It feels like there's a new announcement.
President Donald Trump is appealing to his base. Anything that will make them feel, he's tightening borders and is reducing immigration is what appeals to him. I don't think there's much in this, in the sense that not many people are looking to migrate.
No,
there
are people that are looking to migrate.
Okay, so it would affect them.
Yes, it will affect them because it feels, we know that not just in Nigeria, in many of all these other countries, people are constantly looking forward to moving to other countries, and particularly the U.S. that has been looked at as a beacon of some
as a land of milk and honey.
Exactly. So the U.S., Canada, Australia, the U.S. in particular. So I can understand why this might be crushing for many people. Some people have built careers from advising people on the best immigration pathways. So initially it was student visas. People go for, a number of.
How about marriage?
Well, so I don't know how that will work now, but I don't think that's advisable.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would affect it, but
I don't know if it's advisable at this point. Because
as long as Donald Trump is president, he's shown it clearly, and then by giving a $15,000 bond that, immigrants are not welcome, visitors are not welcome, and it's the irony is the United States is one of the 3 countries that will be co-hosting the World Cup. It's called a World Cup.
I've seen a number of people cancelling their World
people
Cup
are cancelling
purchases.
their tickets because it's not even, they're looking at safety in the United States because you have immigration, customs, enforcement, ICE, picking up people. ICE murdered a U.S. citizen the other day, so they're not scared. They're pretty scared. Yes, very, very terrible situation. So
really scared.
Their country, their rules, so we just have to live, the rest of the world will live with this present day reality that shows that the United States rather is not welcoming of visitors. Well,
at the end of the day, I think what this is again for us is a wake-up call for everyone to really fix their home base. If every country was fixing, every country's government was as proactive in fixing their country, as in protecting their country as fiercely as some would interpret what Donald Trump's actions have meant, then that would have been a great idea. Nigeria, for example, many of the people who have migrated from Nigeria to America, to Canada, all these other countries, aren't necessarily migrating because they enjoy unpredictable weather because they enjoy winter, like really intense winter conditions, but it's because they want a better quality of life. It's why doctors would leave Nigeria and go to these countries where they're working in extreme weather conditions, where there are certain things that are uncertain, you know, and where some of them even have to take
Zero
meager
family
salaries.
ties and friends, yes.
For the first few months. No, people don't talk much, well, some people do, about the depression that comes with relocating abroad. There's a huge depression a number of them have to deal with. When they start to share their story about the first few months, the very uncomfortable weather conditions they have to deal with.
The culture shock.
The culture shock, the feeling
The
disconnected
disconnect
from
from family.
family.
Yeah.
It's why
It's one of the
Nollywood
prices
on
we're
YouTube
paying,
has picked
yeah.
up, because Nigerians in the diaspora want to watch, they want to feel connected to home, because these are the things that remind them of home. So we need to fix our country, and when we do, you see that more people will actually come back. There are people who just want to go there until they feel like they can find some stability. And once things start to look
And
up,
it'll
they'll
be
come back
nice.
home.
I think it was one of these AES states that reciprocated the United States decision to ban visas from members of their country, and they did the same.
Yeah,
So
aura for aura.
if you have the energy to, I would advise you to. So they can also fill it if it's not going to affect you adversely. In diplomacy, it's called the principle of reciprocity.
Reciprocity, yes. All right, let's move now to our next story, and our next story this
Nigeria is
morning,
not
the wake-up
saying anything
conversation.
about this. But,
Okay, let's see what Nigerians are saying.
because Nigerians say a lot.
All right, let's go next and see what Nigerians are saying.
Bet Wizard, Bet Wizard says the 75 countries should mandate the US to lift their embassy off their country and stop any US passport from coming to their country in return. It's that simple. Let's see how you deal with 75 countries rejecting passports from your country. I know most of this decision it's just off the whims and caprices of one man, which is Donald Trump. So it's not a reflection of the entirety of America.
No, you'll be surprised.
He calls the shots.
You'll be surprised that majority of them think like him, and that
His supporters.
Yes, the supporters. They think like him. Those who believe that they need to make America great again. So there are many people that think that this is a laudable move. It's just that many of those who voted him in are quite surprised. There are a number of them. I don't want to use many. There are a number of them who are now probably surprised at his daringness. But I'm like, you already saw this before.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything different.
Uday says, wow, this is actually very serious. While it's necessary to act in the interest of the United States at all times as decision makers, it's also pertinent to apply fairness and balance, as not everyone should be penalized for the ill behavior of a few. Okay. David Kwarashi says the United States needs to either back Iranians in reclaiming their country, or at minimum resume visa processing for people fleeing the Islamic Republic's brutality. You can't pause visas while saying we're going to help you and do nothing. Okay. That applies to Nigerians fleeing genocide, alleged Christian genocide too. The tyranny's plan says, excellent, seriously excellent. I think we should actually do a full stop on all immigrant visas for a while. However, I can see both sides of this policy. So great, happy to see this sort of thing. Not only must we arrest and prosecute fraudsters and insurrectionists, we must change policies so that they can get into our system, so they can't get into our system in the future. Good on Trump for shutting down another way they defraud our country. And the irony is, okay, we'll get to that later. Richard Arian says Mexico is a greater public charge than many countries on this list, but it wasn't included solely because of the voting power of the Mexicans in Texas, he says.
All right.
Okay. I don't think this is what Nigerians are saying. These are what Americans are saying for this particular story. And the irony is the America as it is, the continent where the United States of America is located, the ground, country that is so anti-immigrant, belongs to Native Americans, to the tribes, the Cherokees, the other tribes that make up what is today the present-day United States of America. Majority, Trump was also an immigrant from, his grandfather was an immigrant from Germany. So it's just ironic that we're watching this play out in real time. Okay. But let's move on to other matters.
Our next story is one that's really heartbreaking. The High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Gwagwalada on Wednesday arraigned former Adamawa North Senator Elisha Abbo and the co-defendants over the alleged rape and sexual assault of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. The case filed by the Inspector General of Police was heard before Justice I. Mohammed. Both defendants pleaded not guilty to all 9 counts. Following arguments from both sides, the court granted Abbo bail at 50 million naira with 2 sureties of good standing and ordered him to surrender his international passport. The second defendant received 40 million naira bail under similar conditions. Binga.
I mean, this is not the first time he's in the news for something really negative. If you recall, when he was a sitting senator, he assaulted a lady that worked in a sex toy shop. Yes, and it made the rounds. He had to face a Senate committee on disciplinary issues. And then this one, I mean, the Nigerian Constitution says it's innocent until proven otherwise, but for your name and your personality to be associated with such a grievous and a very shameful act, it leaves more to be desired. So we'll wait and see how the court process plays out. But this is it's absolutely damning on his reputation. And I mean, assaulting and having canon knowledge of a minor is one of the worst things that could ever, one of the worst crimes that could ever be perpetrated. So it's terrible.
All right.
And I think that should effectively put an end to any political ambition he has in the future.
So, whilst Section 36, subsection 5 of the Constitution of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, provides that he is innocent until proven guilty, I must say that if we go by previous character evidence, which is what happened in 2019, where he assaulted a woman on camera with, evidence, there was evidence there. He did later issue an apology, one that many criticized and said that, it seemed arrogant and it didn't seem very heartfelt. So I think that what this tells us is that when you have people who are in positions of leadership, who act with impunity and are not punished for their actions, don't expect any different. What we see is a lot of politicians go into public positions and end up behaving poorly. And it feels like public office is a reward for bad behavior because they don't have measures, they don't have strong punitive measures against them when they act out of order. So if somebody with a position, a highly esteemed position, as being a lawmaker in a country, becomes a chief lawbreaker, and I'm not talking of lawbreaker in the sense of something that doesn't affect another person. You lift your hand and you assault. You didn't assault her with your mouth.
Not a traffic offense.
It's not a traffic. It's not a traffic offense, which is very bad. It's not a threat of abuse with using foul language. It's that you actually hit her
assault
physically, and it was caught on camera. And what was done about it? So when we need to get to the point where the best of us are the ones who lead us, and that's not the current reality. Where we can talk about the competence of our leaders, of our representatives. Competence is not just an academic qualification or your political experience. So this person has been in the House for 10 years. No, that's not the kind of competence we're talking about. We're talking about the quality of your character, the integrity that you have as a person. Until we start doubling down, until we start standing on business and insisting that we only put people who have great character, who have integrity, who will uphold the law, who will respect, Nigerians and respect themselves first. We'll continue to see things like this.
Absolutely.
So we didn't do anything about it at the time. And I don't know, I really hope that this matter is followed to a logical conclusion. And if he be found guilty, that he be made to face the law. But let's see what Nigerians are saying about this on X, and then we'll come back to take our next story. I thought police had exonerated him. Let's pause on that. So that's another issue.
It's not the work of the
We're
police
not quite clear. Police, on the one hand, there have been mixed reports. There have been reports that police said there wasn't substantial evidence to charge him. Another report from police also saying that, he's being charged. I mean, we took a report of him being taking his plea in court. So it feels like there's been contradictory statements from the Nigerian police. Well, Adewale, that's his tweet. Checking out says, nothing punitive, exactly. Nothing punitive happens to our so-called politicians. No matter the level of crime committed, the money they loot is far enough for settling all cases. And our next tweet, with all these allegations, his wife still serenades him on TikTok every day. You don't mean it. I don't follow them on TikTok, so I don't even know what's happening there.
Okay. Do we still have more reactions? I guess not. Let's move on to our third wake-up story of the day. Suspected terrorists have released 17 more worshippers abducted from the evangelical church in Ayetoro, Kiribunu, bringing a total number of freed victims to 24, while 13 remain in captivity. Community sources confirmed the abductions, which took place on Sunday, December 14, 2025, saw armed men storm the church during a service and whisk away the parishioners to an unknown location, sparking panic and outrage across the community. The latest release follows weeks of intense negotiations between the kidnappers, the victims' families, and the Ayetoro Kiribunu Development Association, which has been coordinating efforts to rescue the hostages' freedom without involvement from the Kogi State government. Earlier releases on January the 1st, 2026 included 7 worshippers after a 15 million ransom payment, though tragically 3 of them had died. 3.
Yes, 3 have died, and 4 in the hospital, according to what we hear.
And 2 while still in captivity, and 1 shortly after being taken to a hospital. Subsequent releases of 3 victims on January the 12th, followed by 14 more on January the 13th, highlights the ongoing community-led efforts to free the remaining hostages as families and residents appeal for prayers, public support, and urgent intervention from authorities to ensure the case and unconditional return of those still held. What I see here is a complete lack of, breakdown of morals in society. For you to kidnap minors, overage persons, senior citizens, it's the highest level of, there's nothing more despicable than this. Just look at this images.
Very despicable, man.
Just look at this image.
And you know what's even sad?
There was a time that you even think, okay, they only kidnap people of a certain social status. But now, this youth, this criminal element, are just interested in causing the most amount of heartbreak and, damage. And then people lose their lives in these kidnappings. People have died as a result of this. And it's just sad. It's
very sad on many levels. It's very sad because people are not allowed to freely practice their religion. And even if you take it away from religion, the generality of it is we have an insecurity problem. So these people are in their church, they're worshiping, the bandits come in, kidnap them. 3 people have died while in captivity, 4 in the hospital. According to the reports last week, there were about 30 in captivity. Ransom is released. Apparently, according to reports, the newspaper reports that ransom is paid. They had an anonymous source that told them that the families and the communities have paid ransom. What's really sad in all of this is, 1, that the government cannot protect the citizens in a way that they first of all get kidnapped.
Multiple failure on many levels.
Then 2, yes, okay, the deed has been done, this has happened, the government cannot secure their release. They now have to pay. So it's double jeopardy. Not only do they have to deal with the harsh reality of the fact that they are unsafe in their own neighborhood, then they have to gather money, pool resources that they do not even have to rescue their family members because the government has failed to provide them security and then remedy the wrong that was done them. It's multiple failure on all fronts.
It's absolutely multiple failure on all points. And on all fronts. And imagine the trauma they went through. You saw the pictures, very harrowing pictures. They look so malnourished. I'm sure they didn't shower while in captivity. It's heart-wrenching. And you'll be wondering if there's any psychosocial support that will be given to these children. These children are scarred for life. Imagine living in captivity for that long. It's just terrible. This? And the state government goes about business as, there's no sense of urgency. We've desensitized ourselves to it. It's almost like, it's a normal occurrence. All you just have to do is you wish it doesn't happen to you or your loved ones, well, it's part of the daily reality in Nigeria. And for a country to normalize the kidnapping of children, kidnapping of people that has become a multi-billion naira industry, it only points to one thing. It means the government has failed in its responsibility of protecting the people of Nigeria. That's the barest minimum. These are people that in their normal lives, they're still struggling to survive, struggling to get by. And then you kidnap them, put them in the bush for months, and it's terrible. That's little girl there shouldn't be more than 4 years old. Imagine the experience they've gone through. And the least the government can do is protect them. And there's no guarantee that we won't have another kidnapping incident.
Nope, there's no guarantee.
We need to find a final solution.
We thought that the most harrowing thing our parents could have gone through, we thought, when our parents told us the stories of the war and how harrowing it was, it's unfortunate that our generation now has their own version of horror to share with their children, if they survive to have children.
With terrorism and
to talk about terrorism, insecurity, where people don't even know if they go, what happens. Anyway, we're streaming live on YouTube. New Central TV Live is the page where we're streaming, and we'd like to take your comments as well. If you'd like to react to any of the stories, we've talked about the church members from ECWA who were released and the potential of ransom that was paid for their release. We've touched on the AFCON match. We're going into details later. We'll be connecting with our correspondent to Doka Njoku, who will share with us more details in that regard. We've touched on a number of stories this morning, but now let's share with you what our headlines today will be on Breakfast Central.